Greetings, everyone! Thanks for tuning in to the Famous and Fearless channel. They told the world they were broke, cut off from the monarchy, no royal paycheck, no family support. But fast forward to now, they live like Hollywood elites. $14 million estate, private jets, multi-million-dollar ventures. So where's the money actually coming from? This isn't a tabloid rumor. It's a financial mystery, one that now has legal experts and government agencies quietly digging through a trail of offshore accounts, suspicious deals, and blurred lines between philanthropy and profit. And what they're finding might just bring the entire house of cards crashing down. So here's the question: is this all just smart branding and brilliant business, or is it the beginning of a financial scandal? Comment below what you think and watch closely, because this story goes deeper than anyone expected.
Yeah, what has he done with this Netflix series? He's used his mother to sell it. Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one?
Let's go back to that infamous Oprah interview. Harry said it himself. "I had to rely on the money my mother left me." Meghan chimed in, revealing she contacted friends just to land voiceover gigs to pay the bills. They sold a story that resonated. Two people stripped of their titles, security, and income, just trying to survive. But here's the contradiction that's bothering more and more people. They're not just surviving, they're thriving, lavishly. Their home in Montecito reportedly costs over $30,000 a month in maintenance and taxes. Security? Millions annually. Their clothes, their staff, their travel, it all adds up. If you compare their projected income sources against their visible spending, something doesn't align. They told the world they were building from scratch, but now they're living like they've already made hundreds of millions. The disconnect isn't just about optics. It's about credibility.
They've been damn hopeless at everything. So it seems to me they're resorting to becoming basically a version of the royal Kardashians.
Right after the interview aired, the Sussex brand exploded. Netflix signed them for a deal worth a reported $100 million, though insiders now claim far less was actually paid up front. Spotify brought Meghan in to lead a podcast that reportedly fetched her around $20 million. But she only delivered a dozen episodes before it was canceled. Harry's memoir, Spare, broke records and earned him another massive payday. And then came the speaking engagements, reportedly paying $500,000 plus per appearance. That's not all. Trademark filings revealed Meghan had plans for everything from lifestyle blogs to tea brands and cosmetics. There were whispers of a cooking show, a new docuseries, a wellness empire, all in under 36 months. No celebrity has built an empire quite this fast, and that's what's raising red flags. Industry insiders say most Hollywood players, even A-listers, take years to scale up this level of exposure and deal flow. But the Sussexes, they bypassed the ladder. It's like someone fast-tracked them, or something else was helping them stay afloat. At first, the criticisms came from tabloid journalists or royal insiders, but now the concerns are coming from a very different group: financial analysts, former auditors, even regulatory insiders. The central question: where is all the money really coming from? And is it being declared properly? In both the UK and US, there are rumblings of quiet reviews. Not full-blown investigations yet, but preliminary assessments. They're not necessarily accusing the Sussexes of a crime yet, but they are looking at patterns. Multiple shell companies have been registered in Delaware and California, some with vague purposes. A few are tied to charitable projects, others to media production, but some seem to have no real activity. Then there's Archewell, their nonprofit organization. It's raised millions, but has also blurred the line between foundation and for-profit. When public figures mix fundraising with media ventures and merchandise, watchdog groups start paying attention. And then there's the money flow. Some reports suggest funds are moving between entities, across borders, sometimes through third-party names. If any of it was designed to obscure tax responsibility or exploit nonprofit status, that's where legal issues begin. Let's be blunt. The Sussex brand is powered by pain. They've positioned themselves as victims of royal protocol, racism, paparazzi cruelty, and public misunderstanding. And for a while, that narrative resonated. The Oprah interview, the Netflix docuseries, the Time cover, the emotionally charged podcast episodes. Every media project leans into personal trauma, emotional rawness, and cultural controversy. That vulnerability sells, and Meghan and Harry know it. But at a certain point, it's no longer just storytelling, it's product strategy. Every time Harry opens up about Diana, it drives book sales. Every time Meghan speaks about racism or female empowerment, there's a new brand launch on the horizon. Even their court battles with the press have been timed with major releases. They're not just sharing their truth, they're monetizing it. And the public is starting to notice. Because when pain becomes your product, authenticity becomes your currency. And if people stop believing you, that currency evaporates. Meghan was once a humanitarian ambassador, quietly working behind the scenes. Now she's teasing skincare lines, publishing lifestyle newsletters, and meeting with fashion executives. She's trademarked everything from meditation tools to digital coaching platforms. Some say she's becoming the next Gwyneth Paltrow. Others say it's more calculated, closer to Kim Kardashian. She's pivoting from Duchess to digital CEO. But that pivot comes with consequences, especially when her public messaging still claims to want a quiet life away from the spotlight. You can't be both a private citizen and a global influencer mogul. And as brand insiders begin backing away, there's growing concern that Meghan's empire may be built more on ambition than value. Meanwhile, the products haven't launched. The platforms remain in development. And the public, they're starting to get impatient. While Meghan's been chasing influence, Harry's taken a darker path. His memoir, Spare, revealed everything, from drug use to frostbitten body parts to intense therapy sessions. And while the book sold well, it left many readers stunned by how much he was willing to reveal. He alienated his family. He contradicted past interviews. He even undermined his own credibility, especially when some of his statements didn't align with known timelines. His image has shifted, from the fun-loving prince of parties to a man under pressure, juggling lawsuits and publicity tours while trying to maintain control of a crumbling narrative. And behind the scenes, there are whispers that Harry isn't just the face of the brand. He might also be a liability. Let's be clear, the Sussexes are not being officially charged with any crime. But financial investigators, particularly those looking at nonprofit entities, don't need criminal suspicion to begin reviews. Charity watchdogs in the US have already flagged Archewell for unusual allocation patterns. Public records show high administrative costs compared to actual grant disbursements. Then, there are the trademark entities tied to both personal and commercial ventures. Some appear to overlap in function, others have complex ownership chains. This matters because if a nonprofit is being used to funnel funds to a for-profit venture, even accidentally, that's a problem. Regulatory bodies may not go straight to court, but they might issue subpoenas, audit tax filings, and request detailed financial reports, and that could open the floodgates. Every time public scrutiny builds, something else appears. A new interview, a documentary teaser, a surprise magazine cover. Their PR machine is relentless. And it has to be, because in the age of internet capitalism, attention equals income. But attention is a volatile currency, and fans are starting to see the pattern. Big controversy, followed by a big launch. A wave of sympathy, followed by a new monetized product. It's not just suspicious, it's predictable. And the more predictable it becomes, the less effective it is. There's one question very few people are asking. Who's helping them manage this empire? Because two people alone can't build dozens of companies, manage foundations, develop products, and coordinate global PR without serious help. There are likely accountants, lawyers, publicists, and media producers operating behind the scenes, some of them quite powerful, some of them allegedly with experience in structuring entities to avoid tax burdens or route funds through favorable jurisdictions. If this becomes a legal battle, don't be surprised if names you've never heard before start appearing in headlines. This might not just be a Meghan and Harry story. This might be about the entire ecosystem around them. Right now, the Sussex brand is walking a razor-thin line. They're still booking appearances, still signing deals, still teasing new projects. But the buzz is different now. The tone has shifted, from admiration to skepticism. And the cracks are starting to show. Podcasts that didn't perform, brands that pulled out, lawsuits piling up, investigators poking around. It's no longer a question of, are they doing well? It's a question of, can this continue? Because empires built on exposure can't afford to disappear. They need constant oxygen, headlines, attention, controversy. But the more they reveal, the more risk they expose. And if even one piece of this empire falls, a tax violation, a leaked memo, a whistleblower, the whole thing could come tumbling down. There's something subtle happening in Meghan and Harry's public appearances. And it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Gone are the flashy designer labels with obvious logos. Now it's all about quiet luxury. Muted tones, understated brands, soft cashmere, not sequins. Think $5,000 coats with no visible branding. Think Montecito over Malibu, discreet wealth. It's the look of power without the noise. And it's no accident. This is the same strategy used by billionaire dynasties, tech moguls, and elite old money families. The message? We're successful, but tasteful. But here's the twist. While Meghan and Harry are curating a stealth wealth aesthetic, the actual cost of maintaining that look is astronomical. Their wardrobe might look modest, but analysts estimate Meghan's clothing budget exceeds $500,000 annually. And their Montecito estate? Just the security system alone is reportedly valued at over $1.2 million. So, why the toned-down image? Brand experts say this is part of financial optics management. When public skepticism rises, the solution isn't to downscale the lifestyle, it's to make it look less lavish. And it's working for now. But financial auditors don't just look at public appearances. They look at hard numbers, receipts, trust fund filings, tax disclosures, and no amount of beige cashmere or avocado toast can hide a missing million. In fact, the very act of appearing less wealthy while living like royalty could invite even more scrutiny. Because in finance, like in fashion, the question is always the same. What are you trying to hide? Here's something no one talks about enough. Even though Meghan and Harry officially left the royal family, they didn't leave the royal network. Because here's the thing, power doesn't just disappear when you walk away from Buckingham Palace. It follows you, especially if you know how to use it. Let's talk about Tyler Perry. When the couple first left the UK, they didn't land in a hotel or an Airbnb. They were gifted one of Perry's secure, private homes in Los Angeles, with full security, at no cost. It was a lifeline, but also a glimpse into the real safety net that surrounds them. Because while Meghan and Harry have made headlines for breaking from the firm, sources suggest they're still very much plugged into elite circles, royal and otherwise. Some whispers suggest they've received financial help from discreet family trusts, some possibly linked to Diana's estate, or to royal accounts not publicly tracked. Others point to billionaires within their social circle, like Oprah, Perry, and other media moguls, providing unreported support, be it housing, staffing, or services. Legally, it's not criminal to accept gifts or favors, but it becomes murky when those resources help run a business empire, especially one that's making emotional appeals to the public. Because if Meghan and Harry are leveraging their royal connections while telling the world they've been cut off, it's not just a contradiction, it's a credibility crisis. It would mean they're selling the story of separation while secretly staying tethered to the very power they claim to reject. And that raises the ultimate question. Have they really left the institution, or just found a way to monetize it on their own terms? Let's play this out. What happens if the IRS or HMRC finds inconsistencies in Meghan and Harry's financial filings? What if a former staffer leaks documentation? What if a whistleblower emerges with evidence of charity funds being misused or personal profits hidden through proxies? Here's what legal analysts say could happen next. Archewell Foundation could lose its tax-exempt status. That would trigger fines, force disclosure of all spending, and destroy public trust in their philanthropic brand. Their LLCs could be audited and forced to repay taxes on mischaracterized income, potentially millions. Brand partners could terminate contracts over reputational damage. Think Netflix, Penguin Random House, even podcast distributors. Legal consequences might include subpoenas, forced depositions, and drawn-out investigations across multiple jurisdictions. Media frenzy would explode, headlines would shift from power couple to fraud allegations, making any future rebranding nearly impossible. But the biggest consequence isn't legal, it's emotional. They built their empire on the idea of being wronged. They asked the world to believe in their pain. If it turns out that pain was packaged and sold under false pretenses, if the public realizes they've been emotionally manipulated, then Meghan and Harry won't just lose fans. They'll lose the one thing their empire can't survive without: trust. And in the world of modern media, once trust is gone, so is everything else. At first glance, this might still feel like a celebrity drama, but look again. This is a case study in what happens when personal trauma becomes public capital, when royal tradition collides with influencer economics, and when financial truth becomes the ultimate test of credibility. Meghan and Harry said they wanted freedom. But real freedom doesn't come from leaving a palace. It comes from living transparently and facing consequences when you don't. Because in the end, no PR team, podcast episode, or Netflix special can rewrite the truth once the audits begin. The money doesn't lie, and neither will the paper trail.